Okay. Okay, so first one, female cuckoo, Bob Fish.
Lovely bird. The only time I've seen cuckoos is on the Isle of Harris. That's in the Outer Hebrides in Scotland. We used to hear them in this country all the time, but it's getting increasingly rare now. There is a few strongholds for them. Norfolk's a bit of a stronghold for them. But anyway, back to the picture. I think the cuckoo stands out well against its background. I'm drawn in by that lovely eye. You know, you've got some great detail in that eye and a great position on the twig. And the twig doesn't kind of overshadow the picture. I think it's really good. I think we're kind of spoiled a little bit in this country because we see a lot of, well, I, as a judge, locally and nationally, see a lot of cuckoo pictures. And I've seen pictures in this competition that I consider better than this one, hence the score of 13. But a lovely picture, and again, it's a picture that I wouldn't be throwing away if I had it.
I love the muted background, makes the bird stand out quite well. And the eye certainly is pin sharp. It's fantastic. I like the lighting on the bird as well, and detailed in the feathers.
Okay, anybody else like to comment?
Gary, it's on the Derwent Ings, just south of York, if you want to go up there and photograph them.
Oh, brilliant. Well done, Bob. When I first saw the image, I thought it was from a hide, you know, one of these paid hides. But if you've took this out in the wild and you've caught it, you might have got a couple more points because it's a stunning image. And similar to what Diane says, the background again makes a picture for me. And I think especially with wildlife pictures, and I have taken a few myself, the background is just as important as the actual subject, because the background helps the subject to stand out. So yeah, nice one, Bob.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. Buzzard on its prey, George Fiddler.
Now there's a big contrast between the scores here, because I've scored it 8, and I think that was one of the lowest scores that I'd photographed any, that I've marked any picture. And let me explain to you why, George, before you tell me off.
I'm not going to tell you off, Gary.
All right, okay. All right. I didn't think it was as sharp as it should be. And I think that's possibly down to you not giving it a bit of a tweak in Photoshop just to sharpen it up a little bit. The background's a little bit busy, but you know, it's still okay as far as I'm concerned. It's just that we got to a stage where I just didn't think it was up with the rest of the pictures. But I'll tell you something which is interesting. When I judged the picture, I thought the picture was blurred. And then they sent me a report with this picture on, and I thought the picture looked sharp or sharper. And then I think this picture's kind of in between the two of them. So I have actually seen a picture of your bird, George, that's a lot sharper than this, and I thought it was a lot better. And I was kind of a bit scared to come on tonight and say why I scored it an 8, but this one doesn't look as good as the one I saw that was sent to, you know, the one that was sent to me after the competition. And I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is. Anyway, that's me done.
I thought it would have been better if the background had been a lot lighter to make the bird stand out a little bit more. But I felt it was sharp. The eye is very sharp, and you've got sharpness in the feather there in its beak. As far as sharpness is concerned, that didn't bother me. And you've got good detail in the bird's feathers there. I like the position of the bird too. It's sort of nearly a diagonal.
Okay.
Yeah, I think sorry, George. I think you can do with giving the bird a little bit more room as well. I think you're very, very tight near the head and near the tail, and I would have appreciated just a little bit more room. But saying that, I don't know what was around it, what made you do the crop, what you did. And after Diane said what she said, I still don't think it's sharp enough, critically sharp enough. Sorry.
I cut it back as much as I could, actually, to try to get rid of the background. The background is where it is. We had no option to move it or to do anything with it.
I appreciate that, mate, and that's the same with a lot of wildlife. So yeah, I totally agree. I totally accept that. You could try. I don't know what aperture we're using, but you could try altering your aperture. But I don't know what the light levels were like. It looks like it was pretty dark, so you've got to consider your light levels. And I know how quick these buzzards move if they want to. I know how skittish they are. So I know you've got everything going against you as far as I'm concerned to start off with. It's you're starting with an uphill battle. It's not like a landscape. This thing will move if it sees you or hears you, or even suggests just a suggestion of you being there. So yeah,
I can tell you the first click of the camera and it went,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it didn't come back for over an hour.
No, I can appreciate that, George. I've been in the situation myself many a time.
We were in a hide, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes, I mean, George, some people think that you just turn up for these hides and you get a memory card full of pictures. I know how difficult it is. I've been to photograph green woodpeckers, and I was there for 8 hours with nothing turning up.
Yeah.
So I have been to hides and nothing's turned up.
Yeah. Well,
And
I think we actually drove for 2¼ hours to get there, and well, I think we're in the hide for about 5½, and say 2½ hours back. So it was a complete full day.
Yeah.
Okay then. Right, moving on. Freedow, Duncan Hill.
Yeah, well, you can tell by the schools. I think we both love this image. I love her hair. She's a very, very popular model in the camera club circuit around the UK, and I'm sure that most people would know who this person is. And if you put 2 pictures up of this person and asked who it was, and then maybe the Home Secretary, people would know who she was rather than the Home Secretary. But there again, who wants to know who the Home Secretary is? I think it's lovely. I think that Duncan's caught some lovely catch lights in her eyes. The stare is evocative. The skin tones are lovely. Yeah, and I like the fact that she's preserving her modesty. I think imagination is a wonderful thing. Sometimes you don't need to be shown a lot. I just think it's a lovely picture. The positioning's nice, the tilt in her head's nice, and the light on her face and on her hair is exquisite.
I like the position of her head. It's the 3/4 profile, and the lighting is so beautifully done. Often I see portraits and you've got a highlight on the forehead, etc., from the lighting. This has been beautifully done, and I like the detail in her hair, and you can see it just sort of curling out into the background there. So yes, beautiful.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, moving on. Let go of my tail, Mary Fish.
Yeah, lovely picture, Mary, and a better background than the other picture that we saw, the buzzard that we saw. I love the action. There's a bit of a thing in the judging circuit in the UK. If you're photographing an animal, it's got to be seen to be doing something. And you've managed to capture some great detail, both the cuckoo and I don't know whether it's a reed bunting or a house sparrow, one of the two. I think it's probably, just if it's a cuckoo, it's probably going to be a reed bunting. So yeah, I think you've caught all that really well. The action's really good. And I'm sure that if you put this into exhibitions and competitions, it'll do really well for you.
Yes, yes, I agree. The PSA definition states that the top priority in looking at nature is the story, even if the image has some technical detail, the story must be the primary judging point. And you haven't really got much distraction here. Perhaps a bit to the left there in the highlight in the background, but that's being nitpicky. My attention is straight on to the two birds, and I thought, wow, captured the moment, got it in one. So well done.
And you can see from the 29 equals, this was the equal top score in this section.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that the same cuckoo, Mary?
No, this is a male cuckoo.
Right.
That's a reed bunting, and he was forever, he kept coming back and back. They're a tiny little bird. The cuckoo's much bigger, but he wasn't having any of it. He really, I've got quite a few photographs of him having a go at it. Yeah, but I was pleased it came out as sharp as it did.
Well done.
As those people who know, if you don't know Australia, the cuckoo's a parasitic bird. It'll eat the eggs and lay its own eggs in another bird's nest, and it does that to the reed bunting. Hence, the reed bunting will be attacking it and trying to get it away from its nest inside.
It was the reed bunting must have been nesting on the canal side, so it was really getting a strop on with the cuckoo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, moving on. Little owl, again, Mary Fish.
Again, another lovely image standing out well from its background, and I do like the mottled background, so I think that helps it really well. I don't mind the fact that there's a little bit, it's not so sharp as it should be on the tail or just below its tail. I don't mind that, because those piercing eyes draw you into the picture, and I like the log that it's on. I think that kind of works well. It's sympathetic. The color palette's just about the same. You can see how these birds can be camouflaged and just disappear into their background. So well done again, Mary.
Yes, he's a nice little bird, and I agree with everything that has been said. I would have liked to have seen it doing something, but doing something is probably flying off. You don't want it to fly off. But yes, it's a very nice image, and I'd even put that in colour.
Right. Okay, any other comments? It's all gone quiet. Is everybody there?
Yes.
There's a lot.
It's all gone quiet. Long-tailed tit, Bob Fish.
Yeah, another beautiful bird, one and a very small bird as well. So we're talking about, I'm trying to think of a bird, an Australian bird that it's the same size of.
Scarlet honeyeater.
Sorry?
About the size, scarlet honeyeater, about the size of
Yeah,
the bottle brush.
Yeah, it's a tiny bird. It's about slightly smaller than your wagtail, willy wagtail, slightly smaller than that. Anyway, it's a lovely bird, and you've caught it really nice. I love the detail. I think the background is a little bit bright, which kind of distracts from the bird, in my opinion. I don't know whether putting a vignette on it would focus your eye on the bird, but be careful. Don't overpower it if that's what you want to do. But I think it's beautiful, nice and sharp, and it's on a good perch. Pity the perch is just burning out a little bit, just on some of the edges there. So that's a little bit unfortunate, because you're going to get some judges like me just focusing their attention on that little bit there when it's a beautiful bird. But there you go.
I thought you did really well to capture this. I took one look at it and I thought, oh, a flitty bird. And there it is sitting there with its beak open, and you've got a nice sharp eye on it. I agree with the burnout on the where it's sitting on its perch. The background didn't worry me. I think it's nicely muted around the bird, makes it stand out. If you do vignette, I would go extremely carefully. Perhaps you could crop about a little off the left. That would get rid of some of it, some of that brightness, but not too much. I think the bird is really well positioned in here.
Okay, any other comments? Reflections, Steve Parrish.
Yeah, another one of our endangered red squirrels. My biggest concern about this was the fact that I think he's very, very tight on the squirrel. And for me, I would have liked to see a little bit more room around it. Maybe keep the reflection as it is, but just a little bit more room on the top and at the right-hand side would have helped for me, I think. But nice and sharp, doing something. And I think the reflection just adds that little bit more to the picture.
Yes, I agree.
But give it a natural history. If you're going to put this into a competition, Steve, give it a natural history title. Don't call it Reflections. I've been in many a judging where the judges down-marked an image because it hasn't got a natural history name to it. So either call it Red Squirrel or find its Latin name and name it there. Just a bit of a tip, maybe.
Any other comments?
Yes, Steve, you could name it like you name the like Jackson Pollock names his artworks, number 1, number 2, number 3. You're always safe.
Okay, right, moving on. Excuse me. Spring Fern Awakening, Keith Cawthorne.
Yeah, I like the textures and the detail in this image. I thought it worked really well. There's a few of the bits on the lower side that's just out of focus, but that just adds to the intrigue as far as I'm concerned. And I don't mind the fact that the background is dark in this picture. It helps it to stand out. But like I said, you're in a section with some really sharp images, hence the score.
I thought you saw the shape really well from the curl up the top, and it's curving around, and the actual stem then curves down to the bottom left. I like that. It just grabbed my eye. There's just starting to be a bit of burn off up the top there. That was the only thing. And I did like the background as well.
Right. Any other comments?
Is it a stacked image, Keith?
No, it's not stacked now.
Very good.
Don't
Okay.
we flash, Keith?
No, it's natural light.
Okay.
I thought it was a good image.
Right. Next one. Polar bear approaching ice, Dave Neal.
I like the colour in the water. I like the position of the bear. Yeah, so that all kind of works well for me. Similar to what I said about the other images there, I thought there were stronger images in this section, Dave.
I would have liked to have seen a little bit more room down the bottom, but you've captured the bear in its natural environment, and there is just so much that you've captured in the details of the image. You've done really well with the whites. You can see that the light is fairly strong, but you've not lost those textures in the eye. So I thought this was well seen, and I like the way you left the water above it, and the ice had just placed it well in its environment. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more in the front.
Okay. Any more comments?
Don't think I've got anything more in the front, actually.
No. It's all very well for us to say this, because we're not in the situation that you're taking these images. and I try and put myself in the shoes, but quite often, you know, I've had a judge say about one of my images, well, you should have moved yourself to the left there and taken it from this angle, and not knowing that if I'd have moved myself to the left, I'd have been 10 feet underwater.
I think, Dave, you were still up in a rib boat, weren't you, when you took this?
No, I was actually on the ship.
Okay.
It wasn't in the Zodiac at this time. We were actually on the ship.
Okay. Right, moving on then. Tango dancers, Duncan Hill.
Yeah, another image that I enjoyed, I liked. I like the figures that the dancers, the poses that they're in, the shapes that they're making. I love the fact that he's looking at her and she's looking away. So I like all that. I like the connection between the two. And then obviously that shadow, which fills that bit of negative space in the lightest part of the picture, kind of works well for me. As you may have had me moaning about a light area that you should have done something with. So that kind of works better for me, and the shadow in there works better for me than a vignette would have worked.
It's a very, very strong image. The colours are very strong, and it has a good story. To me, I felt that my attention was being zigzagged between the shadow and the figures themselves. I think they're competing with each other. Nearly two pictures in one. But anyway, it's a very eye-grabbing image, and I think you've done well.
Okay, any more comments? No, moving on then. And we start the Castle Hill ones now. Balancing act, Michael Lutewski.
Yeah, I thought it was very clever. I love all the colours in the background. The colours are very attractive. So for me, it was more about the colours and the shape. So I've never done this water splashing thing before, but it looks very effective. I like the way you've done it. I like the shapes that you've thrown up. I just didn't think it was as strong as some of the other pictures.
I thought the use of the color, of course, is extremely effective. But I like the shapes. I like the fact that it looks like a ball running around the rim of a glass. And I know it's not easy to get a really good image of these. It's not just, it takes hours and hours. It's just like doing ice photography in Petri dishes, and each image that you take is unique. So I'd say that a lot of time and effort has gone in to get this image, and I felt it was worth a high score.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, Frog with Pearls, Mi Chan.
Yeah, I love the detail on the frog. I think you've captured that really well. You've got some nice, strong detail in the eye. I don't mind the water droplets. I think they add to the storyline. The background is not distracting me at all. So yeah, it kind of all works well for me. I just thought there were stronger images.
The water droplets really show the size of the frog, but the foreground was out of focus, and there was just that wee bit of the head of the frog that was in focus, and the rest was out. So yes, I've scored it a 10 because of that.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, next one then. Goddess from the Sea, Mi Chan again.
Yeah, this was much better, Mi Chan, than the frog, trust me. I love all the detail. I love the fact that you've captured all the detail in all that dress, going all the way through it. You've got lovely detail in the hair, a lovely expression. Your skin tones are excellent. The positioning in the frame is excellent. It's just a wonderful picture, which I really enjoyed. And I like the fact it's standing out well from the background.
I took one look at this image and I said, wow, it has had a lot of thought and effort put into it, and just the detail is fantastic. So I couldn't pick anything wrong with it. Not that I was looking to pick anything wrong with it. I just felt this is a straight 15.
Well, you can see from the 29 equals, this was the shared joint top with the cuckoo image that Mary Fish put in. Any other comments?
Ask, is the dust at the top, is that with talcum powder, or is it? I don't know how that's done.
I've done similar pictures and it was with just normal flour. I don't know what they've done with this, but I've done similar, well, not as good as this. I've done pictures with that sort of effect and it's been flour.
Self-raising flour is just as cheaper than anything.
Boom, boom.
Right, moving on that. Golden Harbour, Rob Clark.
Yeah, I love the composition. I love all the action and all the detail that's going off in this picture. I thought it worked really well. I thought you've got a nice leading line with the breakwater in the front going all the way around, and then the leading line with the kind of S shape of the penguins going all the way back to the distance. But I think the thing that made it for me and made it special was that lovely lights, the lovely soft light that's landed on them. So yeah, wish I was there. Good effort.
I thought it was a good composition, and when I looked hard enough, I could see a seal there lying in the middle of it all. I would have liked to have seen. I just felt that the background, the reds in the background were a bit hazy, and you've got some bright highlight on the chests, and this has been very nitpicky on the penguins at the front, and yet, you know, the light has gone to the reddish tones on the other chests behind it. So I wasn't quite sure how that was happening. Perhaps it was because of the clustering or the way the lighting was hitting at it, but I thought it was quite an effective image, and I would have liked to have seen that in my album.
Okay. Right.
Can I ask where that was? Anybody?
It's going to be South Georgia or somewhere, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, no, that is actually called, that is Gold Harbour on South Georgia.
Oh, right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was from Rob Clark himself.
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, moving on. Hope, Rosa Doric.
Yeah, I love the story of the pic. I love the story. I love the picture. I love the fact that there's a hand reaching down to try to grab it. So all the story kind of works for me. That limited colour palette with the striking red dress, I think, kind of works. So yeah, hence my score.
Yes, I saw the story in it. I thought it was rather, you know, the dress as it went down, it was rather dark. And I suppose this happens in the sea. As the deeper you go, the darker it gets. To me, it didn't work as well as the other underwater with the bridal sort of dress on it. And I thought there could have been more, I thought the hand reaching down could have been darker. It's nearly lost in that light area. But yeah.
So is that done in one of these immersion tank things, or is it a composite? Anybody know?
Yeah, I know that they did, we've got a special interest group, portrait special interest group, and I know that they did a lot of water shoots at one stage, and this may have been done in one of those. The one of Mai Chan, actually, if you look at the bottom of that image, it was actually in water. That's why I think the dress is spread out like that. The powdery effect, I don't know, but it definitely, I'm pretty sure was done in water, as probably this one, oh, well, obviously this one was as well.
Yeah, I thought on that Mai Chan one that the splashes look more like water than flour. Okay. Any other comments? Right, moving on. It is mine, Manny Maeve.
Yeah, lovely picture, good detail. Filled the frame with the birds, and again the birds are doing something. You've got nice detail in both the birds and all the feathers, and that added bit of a fish there helps. Standing out nicely against their background as well, so I really like this one.
I think the composition is really good and the background is really good, and I like the story with the fighting over the fish, or mama bird feeding baby bird. I think it was mama bird feeding baby bird fish rather than fighting. But I found the feathers on the birds were rather smooth, as if, and you sometimes get that if it's over sharpened. I'm not accusing you of over sharpening, but I take a lot of bird photos myself, and I like to see the feathers rather than a soft area. I just didn't feel that the feathers on these birds were. I just felt that they had been over sharpened to give that smooth effect, and you haven't got the textures in the feathers that you would expect.
I think this is more of a mating ritual. I think when the male comes back, he feeds the female with the fish. I think that's what's going off, and I couldn't be 100% certain.
The story is good, but I didn't like the satiny softness. You can see it on that grey the bottom bird, the grey wing. I didn't see that text that just came up.
It's all right. It's just me telling me to recalibrate my monitor. Don't worry.
Okay. I thought the author was trying to say something. Okay.
Right. Any more comments? Nice. Right. Spice Clock. Rita England.
Yeah, this worked well for me. I love the spices. I love the pop of colour that gives you, and I like the white background. The fact that you've got separation from your white plate and that white background, so everything's working well. The exposure is well, and the colours are striking. So hence, I gave it my 13.
I thought this was rather unusual, and you've used different types of spoons, etc., utensils to show the spice, but I didn't think the image was as strong as some of the other ones.
Okay, any other comments? No. Superman Barn, Jason Pang.
Yes, Jason, I love this picture. I love the leading lines. I love the way to start off with the leading lines lead you down to that tree at the end. I love the threatening sky, and the barn is beautiful. And I would defy anybody to walk past that barn with lovely light like this and not try to take a photo and not try to get something out of their visit here. I'm not saying that you get something as good as this, but you would definitely give it a go. I love all the way that I love the textures in the picture. I think they work well, and I love the way that they contrast with the textures on the barn. And the colours are pretty similar as well, so it all kind of works well for me. And that hint of light coming through on the far left of your image also appeals to me.
I thought it was quite a dramatic image. That leading line straight up to the tree grabbed me, which diverted my attention from the barn. Perhaps here I go. Perhaps a different angle may have made it a bit stronger for me. The sky is absolutely perfect, and the barn itself is quite nice. But yeah, I just felt that it could have been a little stronger.
Okay. Any other comments?
This is a barn that's been well shot in Australia, and so many photographers have come there that unfortunately with some of them, they did cause some damage to the barn, and it's now locked off to the rest of us, which is a bit unfortunate, but often happens with some of these rather iconic scenes, like the Wanaka tree in New Zealand and other sorts of things where people have just run amok and then prevented the rest of us from enjoying being able to capture great images.
It's a great shame.
It is.
Right. Any other comments? The violinist, Fred King.
Yeah, the rim lighting is what attracted me to the image when I first saw it. So I love the rim lighting. It's caused a little bit of burnout on his head, but I can forgive him for that. And that's probably why he didn't get the full marks. I like the movement in the hand and the movement on the bow. I thought worked really well. And I like the concentration. So that kind of all worked well for me.
I like the image, the composition of the image, but the rim light distracted me. I didn't like the white all along his clothing and right around. So there's where the judges differ. I didn't mind the movement of the hand and the bow. He's obviously playing. Expression on his face is really good. So, yeah, that's why I gave it the 12. And it could have been that standing back a little, you'd have got the full arm in with the bow.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Diane. I think I would have liked it better, and he would have got a better score if he'd have got both his elbows in the picture as well. So I agree with you there.
Yeah. And this is actually a self-portrait. This is Fred King. He does a lot of self-portraits, and he's a chameleon. He can look extremely different in all the different self-portraits he does. So doing a self-portrait, playing a violin, and being able to trigger it probably with his foot or something, or on a timer, it just shows the difficulty in being able to achieve such a shot. But he's a marvel at doing these things.
Other comments? Wool Spinning Park, Fred King again. Oh, it's him again. I recognise that person.
Yeah, I was attracted. I mean, the stuff that attracted me to this picture wouldn't normally attract me to a picture. So it's the messy cans, it's the cigarettes, it's the mess of the picture that attracted me. I love the spinning wool going off in the background. I think that just adds a little bit of interest to the background of the picture. I love all the sparks flying through, even though I think I'm still trying to get what, the storyline. I'm still trying to work out the storyline. I just think I'm intrigued by the picture, hence the score of 13. It intrigued me.
Well, I found the spinning distracting. My eye went straight there, and it was hard to get off it. And thinking, why why is it going around there? It's, you know, it has made a messy picture. Perhaps if you couldn't see it, if it were behind the person and you just got the sparks coming off, it may have been stronger. But there are so many things going on in that image that you know, I felt that less is better often in photography.
Yeah, this is actually a composite of about 7 images, and Fred has posted the individual images so that we can see where they've come from. But when you consider, and I know it is busy, and I agree with you that it's overly busy, but when you consider that it's 7 images that have been put together to get the colors right, the saturation, the luminance, everything looking right, I think shows the skill that Fred has in his composites.
Yes, the idea of the composites are really good, but I think in the actual composition, I think it's the actual composition that's let it down.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's overly busy, and I think the cans are a little too big and all that type of thing. But yeah, still, there's a lot of good skill in there. And he's imaginative. He comes up with some amazing images.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Right, so that takes us to the end of the open round, and Axome 130 and 120 making 250, Castle Hill 124 and 133 making 257. So a lot closer in that section. So when you combine those results with those from the specialist round, yeah, those are the scores. A total of 480 for Axome, 524 for Castle Hill. Percentage, that's based on each image worth 30. So Axome 80% score overall, Castle Hill 87. So
Congratulations to Castle Hill. Thank you very much, Peter. First of all, can I say to Diane and Gary, many thanks for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure. And thank you very much for your comments.
It was very enjoyable. Thanks for inviting me.
It's a delight actually to have 2 judges where you can see where the both scores. I mean, you can vote for both sides of the coin kind of thing, and you see all the different, well, can't call them mistakes, but the differences in all the photographs. So that was very good for me. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I think we should do this again, Peter.
Okay.
You can thank Peter for that. You can thank Peter for that. He bailed me up at the wetlands. Did you, Peter?
I did. We were both at the Hunter wetlands, and we started chatting, and then I realised who I was talking to, and I said, "Oh, we've got this competition coming up. Can you judge for us?" And so I really appreciate that, and I do appreciate Diane joining us this morning because she had been doing competition last night and didn't get to bed till fairly late, and so she was good enough to get up early to join us today and to be involved in this with the commentary and so forth, which is a little unexpected. And I do appreciate that she has spent the time with you guys this morning and for us as well with Castle Hill to do that for us. And I think that one of the things about the difference in the results is that the Axholm was hampered by the fact that you've been in lockdown. You haven't been able to get out. Whereas here in Australia, we're virtually living life as normal. And hopefully it'll stay that way. But it does make a big difference in the opportunities to get out and get images.
as I said, Peter, we started lockdown in March, and we've virtually been in semi-lockdown for the last 3 months, and then now we're going in full lockdown again, because the deaths are just climbing, nearly 500 again just today.
Yeah, they're just amazing numbers, and I think, George, we probably need to have a bit of a chat about the format for the next 1 or 2 competitions, because if you guys can't get out to photograph, then you've got 2 arms tied behind your back.
I think a lot of us are relying on our stock photographs, basically. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you and I can talk about that in the next couple of months or so.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank both the judges for their comments, particularly Gary, as he's given up watching his match, not Forest versus Coventry City, but
Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest.
also, sorry, Nottingham Forest. I did get the Forest bit right.
I hope they win, Gary.
Well, it's currently a draw. I have been looking on the way through.
All right.
So it's 1-1 currently.
Right.
Okay.
Has anybody else got anything to say? Any more comments from anybody?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you very much, everybody. I really enjoyed seeing all the photographs, and I thought the judging was really, really good. It was very informative. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you very much for inviting us. It was great.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody that's come, especially the Australians who've had to get up early.
Yeah.
So good day, and I give you all my best.
Thank you.
Here, here.